Well, as you can see from the beginning of this episode, we are out in the shop and working on the Shop Talk Tuesday build series, Kukri build. This awesome guy right here. Now, to this point, we went ahead, got the blade finished, we got the finish on there, the actual acid etch and stone wash on that bad boy, plus we have the copper layers that are going to go on here. We've got them nice shaped, and we got our hammer texture on the exposed area that's going to be showing on the front there. We got those all set up. And then in the beginning of this episode, we started getting the scales set up, which are these awesome guys right here. I think that this is going to be absolutely beautiful on this knife. I think it's going to contrast really well with the copper and in the dark tone. It's going to look good. I know that some people might think, well, why are you going with blue? It'll look good, just trust me. Now, in this episode, we need to go ahead and try and get as far as we can. Now, I haven't been able to focus a ton on this, and I don't want to skip any steps, so if I don't completely get the handle profiled in this episode, kind of is what it is. I've got so much stuff going on in the background with commission builds and videos that I'm working on that are going to be complete build videos that will release, and it will be a start to finish video on those. I've got some things working on that. Then of course the shop build going in the background. There's a lot going on in this month, which is why I've pretty much just been focusing on the videos that are getting released are the Shop Talk Tuesday build series ones. And next month and the months going into, after that, there's going to be plenty of videos. We're going to go back to doing a minimum of 2 a week. So you will have a lot to look forward to, but this month has been hectic. I just got done celebrating my birthday, and it's just been a hectic month. So we'll get back to normal after this, but for now, I'm going to try and get as much finished in this episode as I can. Of course, you already know how much I got done because you got to see the thumbnail. So we're going to do as much as you saw in the thumbnail. Yeah. Guys, let's go ahead. Let's get these scales cut out, start getting them attached, profiled, all that stuff. Let's get it. So now that I have the front of the scales sanded down, I want to kind of start seeing how everything's going to lay out. So we got to put all the pins back in again. I've done this step off camera probably about, 15-20 times so far, just to kind of see how I want everything to line up and go together. So what I'm debating on right now is making this angle and this angle the same, but I kind of like the fact that the copper piece shoots out a little bit more and starts going with the Picasso where it meets the plunge lines. I kind of like that it draws forward, if that makes sense. Where it kind of everything comes together tighter here at the bottom, so this gap right here. This area going into here is a little bit tighter. This area, and this area is a little bit wider, so that the copper almost cuts from here to here in half, and from here to here in half. So I think I'm going to go with that. Now, what I'm probably going to go ahead and do is I think I'm going to go ahead and put the initial taper on this section while I have the handle scales off of the knife. I think I'm going to put that initial taper in there. That way I can kind of refine this area where it's going to go into that copper area, so I won't be able to mess with that afterwards. So I think I'm going to go ahead, bring this down, get that exactly where I want it, and then go ahead, glue it up, and profile the rest of it afterwards. So now that we have the handle glued on here, I went ahead, got rid of the excess pin material, the excess handle material and glue, and got it profiled back to the actual tang shape. Now, one of the things that we did prior to glue up was do the taper. What we're going to work on now is getting this area profiled the way it needs to be. This is going to be kind of like a Coke bottle handle, but also kind of not, because I'm going to be pulling everything in a little bit more than I would on a Coke bottle. Now, a lot of this material is going to be going bye-bye whenever we start profiling this. I'm going to make the handle quite a bit thinner than what it is right here. Now, one of the things that I did do, I've got the platen angled and the bottom wheel all the way out. We're going to be using it to get inside that area right here. And then I'm going to be using the flat platen like it is to kind of get in here and really be able to see what I'm doing without it being completely vertical. So this is going to make it a little bit easier for me to do that. This is my first time kind of doing this profile like I'm going to, so we're going to kind of wing it. We're going to kind of make it happen. Let's get it. So y'all will see me use the files here and there and some of the stuff that I'm working on. I like them because I can kind of start really fine-tuning where I want everything to be. Now, once I get done profiling with the files, I am going to go over to the oscillating spindle sander and get rid of some of the file lines and things like that and smooth everything out a little bit before I go into the hand sanding. But I really like the profile that we're getting right now. It already feels really good in the hand. All we need to do is start rounding everything a little bit, fine-tuning it, and then go over to that spindle sander. So now that we have it filed and I have it pretty much where I want it to be, I need to go ahead and start refining the profile a little bit and kind of sanding in here, getting it finalized with the actual contours and stuff like that. So I'm going to be using a 1-inch 80 grit drum on the beginning of it right here, and then I'm going to switch to one of the bigger drums to kind of refine this area in here and start rounding this a little bit more, because I want that to be tapered in almost to where it's an oval going all the way around here. So you can see we have just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch of flat area right there. I want to come back and have almost that up here as well. So we got a little more shaping to do, but as of right now, it's starting to feel really good in the hand and look absolutely awesome. So we're gonna go ahead, start working on this, and get this thing to where we can start hand sanding. So we got everything refined on the oscillating spindle sander. Got everything kind of where I want it. Now it's gonna come down to us doing some stropping on here and just, again, fine tuning it a little bit. We're gonna be using a 220 grit for that. And then once we get it where we want it, we're gonna go ahead and just jump up to probably a 320 or a 400 finalize it with some of that, and I might end up going up to a 600. I haven't decided 100% just yet, but we'll kind of play it by ear. So sometimes whenever I get up to like the 600 grits and the higher grits, I'll just take it out of the vise and I'll sand it while rotating it. And part of that's because I don't have a knife vise, so it's easier for me just to do this so that I can get all the way around it. But I'll typically only do this on the higher grits whenever I'm just going through and, you know, making sure I get everything sanded where I want it, get the pins all nice and how I want them, everything like that. And then we'll go ahead and buff it. Alright, so you can see we were able to go ahead and get the whole entire thing knocked out. Really like how this turned out. That copper going into that blue and then that acid etched stone wash is absolutely awesome. I'm so happy that I decided to go ahead and do that. And this handle profile is just awesome. So, I mean, just check that out. Really love the way that turned out. Everything about it. All of that. The transition between each little section of it. The copper and the steel. So, you might be looking at it going, Eric, well, why didn't you acid etch the spine to make it match the blade? When it boils down to it, I tried to acid etch it. I've got to figure out a different process. I'm probably going to have to tape off the copper because whenever I ran that cloth with the acid down the spine, it took all of the copper and ran it down the spine too. So the whole entire spine was all just copper. And it kind of looked cool, but it didn't give me the contrast that I wanted. So I ended up sanding that back off, and that's why we have it looking like we do now. It's all satin, and I actually brought that finish all the way down the tip of the swedge right there. So it actually follows all the way down to the tip of the blade. And we've got it all the way to this section right here, and then down into the little bevel for the cutting edge. Now, I brought this thing down to a very fine edge from the get-go, so you could almost barely even see the cutting edge on there, but I wanted the blade to stay the finish that it is without having a huge, you know, bevel down here. I didn't want that. So I'm really happy about it. I think the handle's super comfortable, and I really love the contrast between the wood, the copper, and the blade. But as always, I'm interested to know what y'all think about it, so let me know in the comment section down below. Guys, if y'all want to order some wood blocks like this right here, hit up Oleg. I'm gonna leave a link for his website in the description below. Go check him out. He has some of the best blocks that you can even get. They're super solid. I think you'll love them. Plus, make sure you hit up my website, theriversexperience.com. Scoop you up a shirt. I'm gonna have hats on there within the week, but I've got shirts, mugs, knives, of course, all of that stuff. Go check it out. Scoop you something up. Now, in the next episode for this, so next week's Shop Talk Tuesday, we are going to be making the leather sheath for this knife. So we're going to see how that goes. I've got some leather coming in. Hopefully it makes it in time, and then we're going to go ahead and work on that. Guys, thank y'all for coming by. If y'all would, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all stay safe out there, and I'll catch y'all next time.